my background. Thank you, Alyssa, for recording. Yes, this meeting is being recorded. As you can see from my background, I still have the holiday background up. It's amazing how quickly the holidays came and went, and now we're almost mid-second week of January. Today's meeting will be pretty short, just a couple of updates and reminders. But thank you all for being here. Hopefully everyone is healthy and happy and has a great start to the new year. And with that, I think we will get started. Just a couple of housekeeping items. Alyssa, can you walk through these, please?
Yeah, so for tonight's meeting, there are a couple of ways to participate. If you have any questions or you want to make a comment, you can use the raise your hand function, or you can also type it in the question box or in the chat box. And for those that are dialing in, I don't see anyone dialing in, but if you are, you'll dial *9 to raise your hand and then dial *6 to unmute yourself. And if anyone needs Spanish interpretation, it is available, and I can turn on the Spanish interpretation and interpret for tonight's meeting if needed.
Thank you so much. And just a friendly reminder that we are a volunteer organization and would love for more neighbors to volunteer and help out. And again, it can be something as small as participating in one of our community events, or where we really need help is in helping plan some of our initiatives. So please reach out via email or phone, and then also or connect with us on social media. And just a reminder how we start all of our meetings, reflecting back on our goal and our mission is to make the Willard neighborhood better through safety, beautification, and community activities. And speaking of community activities, the one that we just were talking about earlier, the live nativity scene and candle lighting. So this was in partnership with our partners, St. Peter Lutheran Church. They've been a big supporter of our neighborhood association, and they asked us to help support this candle lighting. And it was nice. It was like a nice, intimate community event. It was in their courtyard. Just a very pretty and well put together event. Our role was in offering the refreshments. So Fabi Silva, her mother, made champurrado, which is a warm hot drink made with masa. And Starbucks over on 17th and Bristol generously donated a few carafes of coffee. And Big Saver also just became a partner of ours, and they donated the pan dulce. So it's great to have those initial connections. We'll be able to go back to those partners, share these photos, and continue to work with them throughout the year for other events. And I have a few more photos to share. So they had students that participate at St. Peter and other programs. They did the live nativity, set up a pretty manger area, and they did have a live petting zoo, which we also sponsored. So that was a nice addition. And then up on the upper right-hand corner, you see our Vice President, Ms. Bianca Marquesi, and Margarita Macedonia from the city of Santa Ana. It was nice to have her out. On the bottom left-hand side, those are some students from El Sol. Ms. Gay Olivos coordinated with a student and dance director at El Sol, and they came out and did a ballet folklorico performance. And then our team is pictured there on the bottom right-hand side. Bianca, do you want to add anything?
It was just wonderful to hang out with the community and be able to give away the pan dulce and the champurrado. People's faces when they came out, they wanted to make a donation, and they said, no, it's free. And they were so appreciative. So it was a fun night to just hang out and be able to bless the community with hot, warm beverages and sweet bread. It was fun.
Yeah, it was fun. The other thing I liked about it is, so our youth event was a huge success earlier this year, but it is a lot of coordination with, I think we had 20 some odd vendors. And this really, the focus was about community The DJ that was there read portions of the nativity story. And so that was nice. It's nice to do these one-off events like this, where just the focus is on community. Oops. Okay, speaking of community, I did want to just include a couple of reminders of some events that are happening locally. We have talked previously about the Friday Night Munchies. So this is held down behind the Santa Ana Public Library. And they had started them every Friday night in conjunction with the Friday Night Lights games that were happening at Santa Ana College at the stadium. And they're starting them back up. The next one is Friday, January 14th. So great opportunity to drive down, walk down, or even take your bike. There is free parking at the lot that's right off across the street. The parking attached to the library is not free, but it's also accessible if anybody would like to use it. So encourage you to go down. They typically have a DJ, local vendors, food trucks, just a nice time from 6 to 10. So we know that COVID has been an issue. It's still surprising to me that it's still, such a big part of our lives. And testing has been a challenge recently. So quite a few organizations are holding testing sessions. Latino Health Access has been really great about sharing out where folks can get tested. So I'll leave the screen up a little bit for your information. The testing locations rotate to different areas. I will comment on the location at St. Anthony Claret Church. I recently had to get a booster shot right away to see someone at the hospital, and there's no wait there. They do booster shots on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. And you can just walk in. There's no appointment necessary. But as far as testing, other locations, tomorrow, Tuesday, Latino Health Access does testing there from 8 to 5. I know those lines get really long, so I do recommend going early. Wednesday, testing is at the Mexican Consulate Clinic over on 4th Street, and Thursday back at Latino Health Access.
Just to clarify, at St. Anthony Claret, it's 11 to 6. Is that what I'm seeing?
Yes.
Okay, great. Because some of them end at 3. So the 6 o'clock one is nice. Even though it's not in Santa Ana, it's not that far. That's nice that they're offering that to us.
Yeah, it's not that far, and it's great that there's some that are later in the afternoon. Okay. Oops. Sorry about that. Okay, so we'll finish off our meeting talking about our traffic safety committee update. So this has been an initiative for a couple of months now we've been focusing on. And, as we know, our community is unique where we have a high number of pedestrians and bicyclists and other non-vehicle traffic. But we also have quite a bit of non-local civic center traffic. So folks trying to get down to the courthouse or trying to get down to the stadium. And that combination of those two things have really caused some issues or concerns with neighbors. And so we connected last month with Santa Ana traffic engineer, Frank Ariano. Great conversation. And it was just the very first step in talking about some of the areas of concern and some ideas on what we could do to take a look at some of these areas. So just to recap the areas we talked about, the first one is on 15th and Parton, the 4-way stop sign there. There has been concern about folks not making complete stops there. Washington and Parton Street as well. And then down closer to where Bianca lives, 10th and Parton, folks doing donuts and driving at unsafe speeds. The other area of concern is over by the crossing streets for students getting over to El Sol Academy. and also on Broadway, just with folks trying to get down to the Civic Center area. And so where we left off, Mr. Arianos was going to look at each of these areas, but he also asked us to activate and connect and come to an agreement as to the areas that we'd like to prioritize and focus on. Let me go back one page. Okay. So that's what we should do now, is have a little bit of dialogue about what areas we'd like to prioritize. But I did want to give one update. Over the holiday, we did hear back about the concern of traffic on Parton Street. And one option we asked them to look at is, what are the requirements for getting speed pads? And speed pads are like these rubber things that they install on the street. They're not speed bumps, but they're like an interim step that slows down traffic. And we received a response and analysis of data that was collected on Parton Street. And they determined that speed bumps are not or speed pads are not necessary on our street because the average speed recorded is 23 miles an hour in our 25-mile-an-hour area. We requested more information, such as when was this data collected? And then that also brought up the question, there's more than just data of speed that's being collected. What other incidents have happened? Like, have there been any pedestrian incidences or accidents that we could look at for data? And I wanted to talk about a few other things. So the organization that met with us last week as well is Santa Ana Active Streets. They are big advocates of pedestrian and bicyclist safety. And so in speaking with them and their partner, they provided some ideas on what we can do next. So for example, if we don't want to take the initial answer that came back from Santa Ana Traffic Engineering Office, and we want them to take a deeper look, the onus is upon us, the residents, to help paint the story as to what's truly happening on the street or those areas of concern. And these are just 3 examples, and I'll give you a couple more examples. One is a photo voice project. So this is a collection of photos and neighbors' comments on what are the areas of concern that they see. It's put together in a very organized way, and it helps paint a story beyond data of what those areas of concern are. A street story is an initiative from Berkeley University, where you type in an address and you add comments as to the area of concern, and you can upload photos. And it's a very cool project. We can also do a paper version of it where people write down the area of concern, and it gets uploaded into this master system to create a street story. The last one I'll talk to you about is called a walk assessment. And here's an example SAS recently did with youth as part of they wanted to assess the routes that students were taking to get to Santa Ana High School. And so they start by developing a background, and then they identified what are the routes that they're analyzing. And then through photos and explanation, and by doing an assessment of walking together as a group, they start assessing what are the areas of concern and documenting it through photographs. So this, for example, page explains the different streets that they covered. And so here's one assessment they made, that this particular bus stop, there's a need for shelter. There's no shelters here. And the sidewalks are pretty narrow for, imagine pedestrians and bicyclists trying to get across here in this area. And there's also, this is right adjacent to, I believe, this is First Street. So there's fast moving traffic, and they documented that traffic sometimes does not stop for red lights. Here's another example of an assessment. Here they documented that this area had narrow sidewalks, and whenever it would rain or the sprinklers were on, it would create puddles, and that creates a barrier, right, for folks getting through. So here they documented, some possible solutions, but by collecting this anecdotal data, it helped tell a story, where then a recommendation can be looked at and some solutions looked at. So let me go back to our map.
That's great. I remember we were talking about how many times cars stop in the road. I'm going to start taking photos of that too, because that's a huge, it's an issue on Parton for sure. But in the whole neighborhood, it's an issue. It's an issue on Washington. It's an issue on 15th. So I'll start taking pictures because you're right. That paints a really powerful picture of what's really going on. When they just put the traffic monitors, they can only, tell how fast the tires are going over, but they can't see everything else. And so the photographs paint a really vivid picture of what's going on. Thank you for sharing that, Irene. That's great.
Yeah, that and I know Gay and myself were neighbors. We drive extra slow because we know how the traffic can be. We want to make sure we're not hitting anyone. So when you take our slow average to the folks that are speeding, maybe that's what's driving down that number. It can be so many factors. The other idea we talked about is a few owners or a few neighbors own Ring cameras. So I don't know if there's a way to capture vehicles that are driving fast on Ring cameras. That's something we can look at as well.
I was just gonna say, we've had quite a few mailbox thefts, 3 in the last 10 months, but 2 in the last couple of months. Anyway, long story short, I put up a Ring camera that captures 10th and Parton. It's quite funny. Ever since I put it up, nobody has done donuts, but I haven't looked at the footage to see who's not stopping, because that is also an issue at that intersection. And I can definitely take those clips and download them and save them to share with Mr. Ariano to show exactly what's going on at that corner.
Oh, that would be great.
My Ring doorbell also faces, so my Ring camera faces Parton, but my Ring doorbell faces 10th, and you can also see how fast cars go down toward Flower. So I can capture that video as well. Sorry, my brain wasn't working on my street for a second. I don't know why.
That's okay. What I will do is I will set up a Google folder where we can drop in any photos or anything we'd like to add to that. And I'll share that out with the team.
That's great. Thank you.
Okay. Just to keep this to like a top 2 areas, I think we should try to tackle. And then once we address those 2 areas, we can move on to others. Let's see, it looks like we have Bianca and there's somebody else that's calling in. It doesn't show the name, but why don't we go through and list your top 2 areas of concern. Bianca, do you want to start off?
Yeah, 10th and Parton definitely is an issue, is a concern. I just think it's funny, not really funny, but ironic that ever since I put up the Ring camera like 6 weeks ago, there's no donuts that have happened. But definitely Parton is an issue. So I would like to bring that up. And it doesn't necessarily have to be 10th and Parton, but I'm just Parton between 17th and Civic Center. That whole area makes me very nervous, especially when people are walking to the track to go, or walking to school, or walking to the track to walk at night. People just don't pay attention. So that's an area of concern for me.
I like having it listed 17th to Civic Center. Because it's all related. It's the same traffic trying to get through. And you're right, there's like 3 hot spots there.
Definitely.
The other area I'd like to propose, and we can get more feedback, is Ross Street near Halesworth, that area as students are getting into El Sol. And one idea, another one that came up is we could do tabling. So tabling would be having a couple of volunteers out or neighbors out right when parents are getting their kids to school or walking back, and doing surveys and collecting data there. So that could be a possibility.
I think that's great. I mean, I think anytime we can make sure that the streets around where our children are walking to and or from school is important. So I'm okay with focusing on Parton and then Ross and Halesworth. It's fine with me. Especially as an educator, I have seen and or heard of too many times where children have been hit by cars on the way to or from school, and it's heartbreaking.
Mhm. Okay, any other input or areas of concern that we can add? I think I see Terry McCall joined the call and someone by phone.
I think they just agree with us, maybe, Irene.
And you can certainly always email or reach out via social media or even call us with additional input. But the goal here is to, just to recap, is to get as much input from neighbors and an agreement of the 2 areas of concern for the Willard neighborhood as far as traffic goes. And then those can be the 2 areas that we focus on. And we're looking just beyond data collection, but getting more qualitative information, comments from other community members, photos, videos that we can capture. Okay. Well, we will get this update back to Frank Ariano in his office and then keep everybody posted. And I think that covers our meeting today. We went through the walk assessment. Okay, the last thing I wanted to finish off with is our February meeting is tentatively scheduled for Tuesday, February 14th, Valentine's Day. It's a Monday. But I'd like to propose moving our meeting to Tuesday, the 15th, or the following Monday, the 21st. And wanted to see if there was a preference or a suggestion.
I would prefer either that. I prefer that Tuesday only because the 14th and the 21st are both school holidays. And I don't know if people will be going out of town or, just not here on those weekends. So if we can do it Tuesday when we are certain, or, it will give more people the opportunity to be home. I think that would be,
That's
good.
I didn't realize the 21st was a holiday as well.
Mm-hmm. The 14th is Lincoln's birthday and the 21st is President's Day.
Oh, okay. Okay. Then let's move that to Tuesday, the 15th will be our next meeting.
We just have to be really good about being vocal that the day has changed.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get that update out early. I did want to acknowledge Officer Prieto is on the call. And thank you again for joining us, consistently supporting our community. Do you have any updates or any comments you'd like to give?
No, thank you for having me. No, like I said, I'm here for you guys. I hear your guys' issues, and I know that you're working with our traffic team. And, like I said, I work directed. So every chance I get, I know 10th and Parton, that's part of KPC. So me and my team, we go out there. Like I said, we work day hours. So a lot of these gang members like to hang out towards the late evening hours. But I know during the day, we're out there doing our patrol checks and making sure the area is safe for you guys.
I do want to give a shout out to Santa Ana PD. Last month, our meeting was jam-packed with traffic engineer Ariano, but right before Christmas, there was a house party not too far from where I live. And they just wouldn't, they had a live band. It was incredibly loud. I'm okay with a little bit of music, but it was so loud that even with my windows and doors shut, I could hear every single word of the songs and I could hear the partying. Anyway, hear that? That's 10th and Parton. Anyway, I don't know if you guys heard the car screeching, but Santa Ana PD, you guys were so great. We had to call several of the neighbors, myself included, called about the party, and I felt really bad having to call multiple times, but you guys were so gracious and you came out every time. They turned it up every time that you left, but I appreciated that you kept coming back out. And finally, I understand there was a fine, and the last time you guys came out, you brought four units with you, and that finally shut down the party. So I'm really appreciative. I know our other neighbors were really appreciative. It was about 11:30 at night and we were all just trying to get to bed. And so I just want to give you guys a shout out and thank you. I know you're busy, and party noise is probably one of your least favorite things to do, but I appreciate that you took the time to come out and shut that party down so the rest of us could sleep.
Yeah, no worries. I'll definitely send a message out to our patrol team and let them know about that.
Yes, thank you for all you do.
Anytime.
Okay, well, that wraps up what we're discussing today. I will get this feedback to Santa Ana Traffic Engineering and Mr. Frank Ariano, and then we'll be sharing out with the team some next steps. But I do highly encourage anyone that is interested in being a part of more of the planning and volunteering. For the Willard Neighborhood Association, we're only as strong as the number of folks that we have participating. And really, the more feedback we have and the more input, I think the better we can service our community. And we have lots of exciting things coming up for spring. We're looking at redoing our youth event or Day of the Child, possibly looking at earlier spring versus the summer, and then some great summer activities that we're planning. So definitely reach out if you're interested in participating.
And if Terry or the other person who's on the call, if you have any experience writing grants, please reach out to us. There's some grant money available through the city that our association would like to apply for. And Irene, Miss Gay, and myself can do it, but the more voices we have, the better. So if you have any experience or you want to get experience in helping to write a grant, please let us know and we'll be happy to have you join us on that grant writing adventure.
Okay, well, everyone stay safe and healthy. And thank you again for joining us. And then just a reminder, our next meeting will be Tuesday, February 15th. We'll make sure to share out a flyer early for that so that folks know that we're moving it from Monday. It'll be a Tuesday meeting.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Irene, for everything you do.
Everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.